Welcome to the NACC Experience.
Welcome to the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. This podcast is an extension of Never Alone Christian Center and has been specifically designed to make faith transparent and relevant to everyday life. What up? Happy Friday and welcome to the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. I'm your host, Pastor K. Listen, I got to check in with you guys. It has been a very challenging week. We are familiar. I just want to jump right in today. Been watching the news. We've been dealing with the George Floyd situation, dealing with the shooting in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm not here to focus on that today. But I want to take a moment just to tap in with you and to let you know, if no one has told you all week, I love you, okay? I love you. I love everything you're trying to do in life. I'm thankful for your talent, your gifts, and your abilities. I honor you for being good women and good men. And it's my sincere prayer that the society that we live in would find some way to cope with the things that are taking place. Try not to be so consumed with all the events. It's not that we're ignoring them. We recognize them. We see the inequality. We see the lack of justice. We see the murders happening live, and we're hurt and we're heartbroken. But this day, I want to just tell you that I love you. Give you your flowers now. Whether I see you in person, whether you stream this, whatever the case may be, whether you become a part of the NACC family, listen, I love you. God loves you. I'm thankful for you. And no matter what's taking place in our world, you know what? Jesus is still sitting on the throne. All right. Now, thank you guys for tuning in last week. I'm humbled and I'm honored that you decided to hang out with me on the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the NACC Experience, as we say. This podcast can be streamed on the Anchor app. It can be streamed on YouTube. It can be streamed on several other platforms that are attached to the Google Podcast or wherever you stream your podcast at. Just want to drop that information to you. But the easiest way to grab this podcast is to just go to the website, neveralonecc.org. Click on the menu. You'll see the tab, Faith Unbuttoned Podcast. There you can stream it, the audio version, or you can stream the YouTube version right from the website. Last week, we talked about a very, very interesting subject matter in our episode 1. I love him, but he's lazy. And thank you guys for the feedback. And one of the feedbacks that I've received was time frame. The goal of this particular podcast is, one, to be free, meaning that to be relaxed, but to bring information that's going to help you. Okay, there are thousands and thousands, millions of podcasts out there that are helping people and developing people, and I may not be the one for you. But if I am the one for you, at the end of the day, I'm a teacher and I want to help people. I want to help people be better in their relationships. I want to help people be better in their life. And I always have a heart. I certainly have a heart for the family, okay? So we said, I love him, but he's lazy. So we looked at the time frame of the particular podcast last week. This is just some administrative stuff. So if you stream last week's podcast, don't worry, it's still available on all the platforms. We split it into 2 parts, 25 minutes and 25 minutes. So you still can stream it if you want to re-listen to it. Don't be confused. It's episode 1, part 1, and episode 1, part 2. And this is episode 2, where we're going to wrap this up. And then we have a surprise next week, okay? I'm bringing on my wife, and we're going to talk about lazy women. That's right. I didn't forget about you, ladies. You too have a portion to take part in. And believe it or not, men may never say it, but they struggle with having lazy wives and lazy women in their lives as well. And we're going to get to it next week. So last week, we just to recap, we looked at some studies about lazy men. We looked at the top questions that I received on in the DMs. We looked at some possible reasons why he may be lazy, and we also looked at some areas to avoid and some helpful solutions, okay? So go stream last week's podcast so you can be in tune if this is your first one. Now, we're still going to talk about I love him, but he's lazy, But the main focus of this particular podcast is I dropped a little birdie last week, or a little nugget about communication. At the end of the day, all of this comes down to, how do I communicate with the person whom I love? How do I communicate with my husband? How do I communicate with my boyfriend? What is it that I do to communicate, or the lack thereof to communicate? Now, I said in 2016, last week I dropped this to you. I wrote a book on communication, okay? The book is entitled We Barely Talk Anymore, 10 Principles of Effective Communication. And I wrote this book when I was going through a particular time in our marriage where our communication wasn't that great, and our communication has always been our strong suit, but we had some personal things going on in our marriage, and the communication just wasn't there. And the Lord put this book on my heart, and I wrote it on helping me heal myself, helping heal our marriage, on 10 effective principles or 10 principles of effective communication. I'm not trying to make any money off the book, so what I'm gonna do is, if you go to Amazon, just search my name, Kenton Wiley or Dr. Wiley on Amazon. The Kindle is $2.99, and the actual hardback book or paper cover is $5.99. What I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna adjust the price for the Kindle for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and you can get the Kindle for free. Just go on the website, download it for free, because I want to help you. Okay, I wrote the book in 2016. It was a pretty successful book in my opinion. Anytime you author anything and it is out of your heart and it helps people, I consider that to be a success, okay? So tonight, I'm going to give you some information from this book, okay? I'm going to give it to you straight from the book because I want to help you. I'm not going to give you everything because I want you to dive into the book and to read it and digest the information, okay? So with that, keep in mind, the chat is open, okay? Excuse me, quality H2O water right there. The chat is open, so if you have questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or whatever the case may be, drop them in the DM or hit us on the messenger on Facebook, or you always can go to the website and email us at our website or at our information email there. Okay, don't be afraid to send your questions or your concern. Everything is anonymous. Everything I read, either I read it or my wife read it. That's it. Okay. That is as far as it goes. We never mention a name. We strategically drop it into a podcast or into a teaching to help you, to help people. We want to help people. That is what NACC is about. Helping and developing, making faith transparent. All right, let's get to it. Communication. If there is no communication, and listen, if there's no communication in the home, I don't care how much you love him, and he may be lazy, if it's always fussing or if there's improper communication, then it's not going to stop him from being lazy. Okay? There has to be communication, all right? Now, in the book that I wrote, I'm going to start with principle 1. Again, I'm not giving you all these principles. I want you to download the book. It's going to be free. You can go to Kindle, go to Amazon, download the book free. We Barely Talk Anymore, 10 Principles of Effective Communication. Principle number 1, effective communication is my responsibility. Everything starts with looking in the mirror. Listen to me, wives, girlfriends, fiancés, wherever you are in your relationship status. Everything starts in the mirror. It's my responsibility to provide or to act accordingly to give my wife effective communication. If there is a problem with your spouse, your husband being lazy, your man friend being lazy, ask the question, what are you doing or what can you do to effectively communicate to him that you want his help? Last week we said men thrive. Listen, we thrive on knowing that we are needed, that we are wanted. And there's nothing more than for a man to know that he's needed, he will jump to doing what it is that you need him to do. And if for my brothers, if you're listening, keep in mind, we keep calling these women our wives, our black queens, or our queens in general, if you will, but we don't treat them like queens, okay? Effective communication is my responsibility. There is no shortcut to this. There's no secret method to this. You have to understand that it's your job and my job to effectively communicate. Effectively communicating is not fussing, yelling, throwing stuff. Why didn't you do this? I asked you to do this 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, yesterday. No, effective communication is taking time, as we said last week in the helpful solutions, taking time to create an action plan. Now ask yourself the question, do you effectively communicate with your man? Do you effectively communicate? How do you know if you're effectively communicating? When you ask him something, does he respond? Does he respond immediately? Does he respond when he feels like it? Does he not respond? These are all ways to know if you are effectively communicating. But it is a responsibility that is yours. Okay? If your man is lazy, as a wife, you have to step in, help him by effectively communicating with him, by talking to him in a reasonable and a respectable manner, and requesting that he helps you with what it is you need help with, or helps you or shift from being lazy. There's no simple way to say this. If he's lazy, he's just lazy. Okay? So it's our responsibility. We can pray, we can lay hands, we can throw oil, we can read all the scriptures, we can do all of that. But it's our responsibility to effectively communicate, and there's no way around that. Okay? So stop fussing. Men can't tolerate fussing. Okay? We just can't tolerate it. Okay? We're not made to receive it like women can sometimes with the fussing. Okay? The second thing here, the second principle. Keep in mind, you said you love him. So because you love him, you have to do these difficult things like have conversations. Okay? Second principle, effective communication should build your relationship, not destroy it. You cannot communicate with your husband, with your man, by tearing him down. Well, all you do is lay around and you don't do anything. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Well, I asked you to do this yesterday and it still isn't done. Not going to work. It's not going to work. You can't communicate effectively by destroying the person that you're trying to communicate with. And just as a sidebar, that goes for any type of communication in your life. Anybody you're trying to communicate with, be it your children, be it your boss, whatever the case may be, it's not going to be effective if the objective is to destroy the person or tear them down. How can you expect him to help you if you tear them down? It's not going to work. Effective communication should build the relationship. Honey, I need your help with the housework. Honey, I need your help with helping the kids with schoolwork. Honey, I need your help with helping getting dinner prepared. Honey, I need your help planning this event. Honey, I need your help moving some boxes or some furniture. Whatever it is that you need him to do it in a way where you're building the relationship, not destroying the relationship, not tearing the relationship down. And I know you may be saying, well, you just don't understand, Pastor K. I've been trying to do this for a long time, and he's just lazy. He just doesn't want to do it. I understand. I feel you. But the objective is you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. Okay? And it starts with building the relationship. Building the relationship, not destroying the relationship. Let's look at this. Let me look at this. Like I said, I'm giving you this guy this information straight from this book. And again, it's the book. I'm gonna put the book on sale tonight. I'm gonna make it free tonight, so you can go on Amazon and download the book. 'Cause I want you to understand, I'm not trying to get no quick cash. I want to help you. Okay. Okay. Now Matthew. Now you guys know I'm a pastor. Let me give you the scripture, and then let me explain this. Effective communication should build our relationship, not destroy it. Matthew 12:37 says, "The word you say will either acquit you or condemn you." In other words, what we say will either help the situation or make the situation worse. Let me say that again. What you say, wife, woman, fiance, beautiful queen, great in every and mighty way, God's perfect angel, listen to me. What you say will either help the situation or make the situation worse. I love my women. I do. I love you guys. Listen, when I say I love women, I love the species. And I love my wife beyond anything else. Okay? But let me tell you, the words that you guys say can tear a brother down, can tear us down. Be careful how you say it. Be careful of the time you say it. If you said a long day at work, that's not the time to try to have this passionate communication with your spouse. That's not the time to do it. Okay? Your words will either acquit you or condemn you. In other words, it will either help the situation or make it worse. I hope you guys are listening. If you listen, type in the chat, "I'm listening, Pastor K. I'm listening. I got to do better. I got to do better." Okay? Now, principle 3. All right. Every relationship, listen to me, okay? And you're going to hear me say that a lot. That's one of my favorite things. Listen to me. Every relationship has unhealthy patterns that have to be first acknowledged, and then they have to be handled. Every relationship has unhealthy patterns, okay? Now, the principle number 3. Effective communication weakens when we ignore unhealthy patterns in our relationship. Unhealthy patterns in our relationship. Effective communication weakens when we ignore unhealthy patterns in our relationship. And you say, "Pastor K, what you talking about? We don't have any unhealthy pattern." All relationships have unhealthy patterns, okay? Ephesians 4:29. I'm going to give you the scripture because Jesus was an effective communicator. That's why he was able to be effective in what he did. That's why he could say what he said and he could just walk away, because he knew how to talk to people. When I talk to my wife, I talk to my wife as if the Lord, because he is right there with me, because I want to make sure what I say and what I do is effective and I don't have to continually repeat myself. Okay? Ephesians 4:29 says, "Let everything you say be good and helpful." Be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. How often do you encourage the man that we are calling lazy? When was the last time you encouraged him? When was the last time that you complimented him on something that he did do? You say, "Well, Pastor K, I ain't trying to hear all that. He lazy, and well, listen, he's your lazy. Okay? You're in it now. If you're married, you're in it. If you're in a relationship, you're in it. Okay? You're in it. So let's fix it. Let's fix it. Let's stop complaining about it and let's fix it. Let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be encouragement to those who hear them. Are you helpful? The effective communication weakens when I ignore unhealthy patterns, okay? Everything we have to do must be in consistency. Consistency is the key to effective communication. We have to consistently communicate with our spouse. That's the key. How do my wife and I work on our relationship? How do we communicate? Because we have been doing it for the last 14, 15 years, but everything we do is with consistency. You think about musicians, you think about athletes, you think about business owners and other professions and other professionals. They are consistent in what they do. They're consistent in what they do. So if you have unhealthy patterns, you have to change how these patterns are taking place, and you have to become consistent in doing patterns that are healthy. Unhealthy patterns may mean instead of encouraging, you're always discouraging. That's an unhealthy pattern that's tearing them down, and it's not going to stop them from being lazy. It's not going to stop them from being lazy. Now let's look at one of these unhealthy patterns. Let's look at this, okay? Again, this is coming right out of a book that I wrote entitled, We Barely Talk Anymore, 10 Principles of Effective Communication. Marriage and relationships, let me say this. Marriage and relationships are supposed to be fun, okay? Yes, there are serious moments. Yes, there are ups. Yes, there are downs. Yes, there may be children involved, and there may be step parents and stepchildren and stuff like that. And yes, I get all of that. But the relationship is supposed to be fun. My wife and I, we have fun. Okay? We have fun with each other. We talk, we laugh, we lay around, whatever. We just have fun. And it doesn't have to involve a bunch of stuff. We just have fun. Because I, as a man, have done everything I can to effectively communicate with her. Okay? So if you're not having fun in your relationship or in your marriage, my heart is crying to you because I want you to start having fun in your relationship. I want the communication to be above par. You should be excited to come home. You know, I have run into so many husbands who want to stay late at work because they just don't want to go home. Why? Because when they get home, they know it's just going to be a bunch of fuss. And are they lazy? Yes, a lot of them are lazy, but a lot of them are good men, but the relationship is not fun anymore. All right, let's get back to it. What's an unhealthy pattern? Comparing the present with the past. That's an unhealthy pattern. We said we want to encourage him. We want to encourage him by lifting and building him up by our words. If we're trying to present a positive future by helping him not be lazy, you can't always remind him of the past. That's an unhealthy pattern. Women sometimes, and men, have a tendency to remind their spouse, their man, their husband, of the past. Stop comparing the present with the past because that's unhealthy for the relationship. Well, you never do anything. Just like last month, you ain't do this. Stop. Just stop. Stop comparing the present to the past. Start with the now. The now. Start with the now. The now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with now, and we're going to go forward. I'm not going to worry about last week or last night. I'm going to start with now. Wife, I love you. Beautiful queens, I love you. So I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to be transparent with you because that's what I'm going to do as Pastor K. I'm going to be transparent with you because I want your marriage, I want your relationship to be marvelous. I want it to be magnificent. I want you guys to hang out with me and Miss Wiley, Miss Bond. I want you to hang out with us and rock with us. But it ain't no fun hanging out if you're mad all the time. Stop comparing the present with the past. Let me give you one more pattern. Let me give you two more patterns, and our time is up. Okay? Again, this is coming right out of my book that I wrote in 2016. We barely talk anymore. 10 Principles of Effective Communication. I'm going to put the book on Amazon, the Kindle version. I'm going to make it free all weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think I can make it free for 4 or 5 days. I'm going to make it free. I'm going to put the link on Facebook. I'm going to put it on IG. Just go to Amazon, download the book. And you can get the paperback if you want it, then fine. But download the book, okay? Because it's effective communication. It's a quick read, okay? What is another unhealthy pattern? Destructive behavior. Destructive behavior. What do we say here? We said effective communication weakens when we ignore unhealthy patterns. And another unhealthy pattern is destructive behavior. Destructive behavior. This is behavior which typically develops over a period of time. It becomes noticeable when love for your spouse has value and has over time, that love becomes hate or dislike. It becomes notable when love for your spouse has no value, and over time, that love becomes hate or dislike. For example, you come home from work and immediately your spouse starts fussing about something. Keep in mind, you have done nothing wrong, but your spouse just decides to pick a fight over nothing. These type of patterns are unhealthy and cause snags in the relationship or in the marriage. That's an unhealthy pattern. Stop being destructive, wives. Stop being destructive in your relationship. You said you love him. You said you love him, but he's just lazy. But in order to help him stop being lazy, we have to stop comparing the present with the past, stop being destructive with our behavior by immediately fussing at him. And the third unhealthy pattern, and then we're going to wrap it up tonight. The third unhealthy pattern is noticeable withdrawal. That's unhealthy. When your husband starts to withdraw, and it's noticeable. It's a noticeable withdrawal from communication, from sex, from going out on dates. When it's a noticeable withdrawal, this is an unhealthy pattern, and you have to immediately address it. Immediately address when your husband or your man begins to noticeably withdraw from the relationship. Okay? Listen. Get the book. Get it on Kindle. Time went fast, so let's do this. Okay? Next week, I'm gonna give a couple more of these principles, and then the following podcast, I'm gonna bring my wife on. Okay? Because I want to help your relationship. I want to help you, and I want to help the men in your life. And I feel like it's important that I just give it to you, and I'm just honest with you. Listen, thank you guys for rocking with me tonight. My final thought is simple. If you continue to allow it to happen, it will continue to happen. Very similar to last week. If you continue to allow the behavior to happen, it will continue to happen. Effective communication. Effective communication. Listen, check out the IG, check out the Facebook and the website. I'm going to put the link to the book. I'm going to put it up tonight, and I'm going to see if I can get on Amazon and make the book free tonight. If I can't make it free tonight, it will be free Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I believe I can make it up until Tuesday. I want you to get the information. Listen, I love you. God bless you. Appreciate you hanging out with the NACC Experience and the Faith Unbuttoned podcast. I'm Pastor K, and I am out. Have a good weekend.